Hello, I'm Dr. Donal. Thank you for spending a few quiet minutes with me today. I know how much effort you put into staying healthy, eating better, moving more, trying to do the right thing. And that's why this conversation might surprise you. Because even with the best intentions, some of the most popular exercises could be quietly harming the one muscle you can't afford to lose, your heart. I've been a doctor for over 40 years, and I've seen this story far too often. A strong, capable man in his 70s comes into my office, fit, active, proud of his morning workouts. But lately, he's felt winded, dizzy, maybe even some tightness in his chest. Or a woman in her 60s who joined a new gym class to keep up with her grandkids, only to end up with racing pulses and shortness of breath that won't go away. They think it's aging or the weather, but it's often something else. It's the wrong kind of movement for the right kind of heart. You see, after 60, your heart isn't as elastic as it once was. Your arteries have thickened, your rhythms are more sensitive, and your body doesn't recover from strain the way it used to. That doesn't mean you should stop moving, not at all. But it does mean you should move smarter, not harder. In this video, I'll gently guide you through 5 common exercises that may be stressing your heart in ways you never knew. And more importantly, I'll show you safer, more sustainable alternatives, ways to keep your strength and independence without putting your health at risk. This isn't about scaring you. It's about protecting you, because staying active should feel good, not dangerous. Now let's begin, starting with the workout that's trendy, intense, and tempting, but might be sending your heart into overdrive without warning. Part 1. High IT and intense cardio. The overexertion trap. Let me take you into a conversation I've had far too many times in my clinic. A spirited 67-year-old gentleman sits across from me, cheeks still flushed from his morning workout. He smiles proudly and says, "Doc, I've started HIIT, high-intensity interval training. They say it keeps you young." He's not alone. Many of my patients in their 60s or 70s come to me feeling hopeful, trying to reclaim vitality, maintain independence, and follow the advice they've seen on TV or social media. They believe, with good intentions, that short bursts of hard effort followed by quick recovery is the golden key to aging well. After all, that's what the younger crowd swears by, right? But here's where we need to pause and gently reframe that belief. Your heart, after 6 or 7 decades of steady service, is not the same heart that carried you through your 20s. The vessels that once flexed easily now respond more stiffly. The recovery that once took a few breaths may now take several minutes. And the adrenaline that once fired you up may now throw your rhythm off. HIIT, those fast, breathless intervals, can be a silent trap for aging bodies. While it may feel exhilarating in the moment, it can place sudden, extreme demands on your cardiovascular system. As a doctor who spent over 40 years studying the patterns of older hearts, I've seen how easily those spikes in blood pressure, those irregular heartbeats, and that racing pulse can lead to fatigue, dizziness, or worse, cardiac events that no one saw coming. It doesn't always happen instantly. Sometimes the damage builds in silence. A racing heart after exercise gets brushed off as normal. A skipped beat here or there is chalked up to dehydration. But these small warnings are how the aging heart whispers before it shouts. And too often, those whispers are ignored until a fall, an ER visit, or a frightening episode forces a wake-up call. The tragedy is these seniors weren't being careless. Quite the opposite. They were trying to take control of their health, but they were following a rhythm not meant for their season of life. Because after 60, the question isn't how hard can I push? It becomes how wisely can I move? So what's the alternative? Do we stop moving? Absolutely not. Movement is still medicine. But the prescription changes with age. Instead of workouts that leave you gasping, choose those that leave you grounded. A daily brisk walk, for instance, gives your heart gentle, sustained activity without sending it into panic mode. Aquatic aerobics offer a beautiful combination of movement and support. Your joints are protected and your heart stays steady. Even a low-resistance elliptical can become a source of healthy movement, especially when paired with soft breathing and music you enjoy. Think of your heart as a companion now, not a competitor. You're not training for speed. You're training for longevity, for stamina that lets you garden, play with grandkids, or travel with ease. A walk around the neighborhood that ends with a smile, not a pant, is a victory. A dance in the kitchen that leaves you light, not lightheaded, is a win. After all these years, your heart doesn't need intensity. It needs consistency. It needs rhythm over rush, trust over shock. So my advice isn't to give up on movement, it's to move smarter. Meet your heart where it is today, not where it was 30 years ago. And remember, fitness after 60 isn't about chasing your youth. It's about protecting your future. Now let's shift our attention from fast motion to deep pressure, because next we're going to talk about the exercises that don't race your heart, but compress it from the inside out. And they're often hiding in your core routine. Part 2, core crunches and heavy lifts, the internal pressure storm. Let me tell you about a man named Bill. Bill was 72, retired Navy, strong, proud, disciplined. He walked into my office one morning, pale and rattled. Earlier that week, he'd nearly passed out in his garage gym while doing sit-ups. "I don't know what happened, Doc," he said. "I've been doing crunches and lifting dumbbells for years. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder, just trying to stay strong." Bill's story isn't rare. Many older adults turn to core exercises and resistance training because they've heard it's key to staying independent, mobile, and protected from falls. And that's true. But here's the part most people never hear. Not all strength training is created equal. And after 60, how you train your body matters just as much as what you train. You see, when you do a core crunch, a sit-up, or lift a heavy weight, especially if you hold your breath or strain, you create a surge of internal pressure inside your chest, inside your belly. That pressure pushes upward and outward. It spikes your blood pressure in seconds. And your heart, it suddenly has to work harder to push against that force. In a younger person, the blood vessels are elastic. The heart bounces back. But in seniors, where arteries may be stiffer, plaque may be hiding, or medications are already regulating rhythm, that same pressure can lead to dizziness, a racing heart, even fainting or angina. I've seen it happen in gyms, in homes, in group fitness classes. A well-meaning older adult picks up a barbell, grits their teeth, and just pushes through. But the strain isn't just on the muscles, it's on the heart, on the delicate balance of blood pressure and oxygen flow. And the result? They feel lightheaded, or they black out, or they end up in the ER wondering why their chest feels tight hours later. The irony is painful. These folks aren't ignoring their health, they're fighting for it. But they're using tools their aging body no longer welcomes. So, what's the solution? Do we give up on strength altogether? Absolutely not. We just adjust the way we build it. Instead of crunches on the floor, focus on posture and core engagement through everyday movement. Standing tall, gently pulling your belly toward your spine when walking, balancing on one foot at the kitchen counter. These are subtle, powerful ways to activate your core without the internal strain. Instead of heavy weights, pick up resistance bands. They give you the strength-building benefits with far less joint and cardiovascular stress. Or use light hand weights, 1 to 5 pounds, and move slowly, deliberately through each repetition. Focus on your breath. Stay upright. Let your muscles, not pressure, do the work. It's not about giving up strength. It's about redefining what strength looks like after 60. It's about trading force for control, pressure for presence. And here's the beautiful part. When you train like this, you're not just protecting your heart. You're improving your balance, your coordination, your breath. You're building a body that supports your goals, whether that's lifting your grandchild, gardening, or walking through the farmer's market without fear of falling. So the next time someone says no pain, no gain, smile and walk the other way, because for you, the gain comes from gentle persistence, not pressure. Now, we've talked about how motion and strain affect your heart, but sometimes the danger doesn't come from what you're doing. It comes from where and when you're doing it. Let's take a look at how something as simple as the weather outside could quietly turn your workout into a risk. Part 3, Outdoor Exercise in Extreme Temps, the Weather Risk. A few winters ago, a woman named Margaret came to see me. She was 68, recently retired, and committed to walking every morning to stay active. One crisp January day, she bundled up and headed out as usual. But within 15 minutes, she felt lightheaded, short of breath, and had to sit on the curb until a neighbor spotted her and called for help. Her heart had gone into overdrive, not because of overexertion, but because of the cold. Margaret had no idea that cold weather could do that. And frankly, most people don't. Here's the thing no one tells you. After 60, our body loses some of its ability to regulate internal temperature. What used to be a little chilly or a little warm in your 30s becomes a significant stressor in your 60s and 70s. And when you pair that with exercise, even a simple walk, you create a storm your heart may not be ready for. Let's talk about cold weather first. When the air is chilly, your blood vessels constrict. That's your body's way of holding on to heat. But that constriction makes it harder for blood to move. Your heart has to pump harder to push blood through narrower vessels. For someone with aging arteries, stiff vessels, or undiagnosed hypertension, that extra effort can lead to spikes in blood pressure or even chest pain. I've seen patients experience angina, arrhythmias, or fainting spells after just 10 minutes of outdoor walking on a cold day. Now flip that. Hot weather, especially humid, still air afternoons, does the opposite. Blood vessels dilate. Your heart races to cool you down. And if you're not careful, dehydration sets in fast. And when you lose fluid, your blood becomes thicker, your heart strains more, and the risk of irregular heartbeat or heat stroke goes up. I've had older patients collapse during summer walks thinking they were just sweating out the toxins, but they were sweating out electrolytes, critical for heart rhythm. And here's the hardest part. Most of these symptoms don't show up immediately. You may feel a little dizzy, a little more tired than usual. You chalk it up to aging or say, maybe I skipped breakfast. But in reality, your cardiovascular system is quietly waving a red flag. So how do we protect your heart while still staying active? We adjust the where, not just the what. Choose indoor walking tracks, local senior centers, or climate-controlled gyms. Even mall walking before stores open has made a comeback, and for good reason. The temperature is stable, the surface is even, and the risks are lower. If you still love being outside, and many do, follow this simple rule. Avoid extremes. Skip the early morning frost and the midday heat. Instead, go out mid-morning in winter or early morning in summer. Wear layers you can peel off. Protect your hands and ears in the cold, and wear breathable fabrics in the heat. And always, always hydrate. Even if you're not sweating, even if it's cold. Seniors often lose their sense of thirst and dehydration sneaks in quietly. Just 8 ounces of water before and after a short walk can make a world of difference. Let your exercise support your heart, not surprise it. And remember, walking isn't about proving toughness. It's about building consistency. Margaret still walks, but now she does it inside her local YMCA. It's not as scenic, she told me recently with a laugh, but I haven't had a dizzy spell since. You deserve that kind of peace, that kind of predictability, because your health isn't built in heroic moments. It's built in sustainable ones. And now, speaking of predictability, let's talk about another exercise mistake I see all too often. This one hides in places that are loud, lively, even joyful. Fast-paced group fitness classes or routines with quick turns, jumps, and high tempo. They feel energizing, but for aging, balance, and blood pressure, they might be a hidden hazard. Let's take a deeper look. Part 4, jumping in rapid motions, the balance breaker. There's a kind of energy that fills the room when you see a senior in a Zumba class or aerobics group trying to keep up with the beat. And honestly, it's inspiring. The willpower, the rhythm, the joy of staying active. But I've also seen what happens after when that same joyful energy turns into a trip to the ER. I remember a gentleman named Frank, 72, sharp, social, full of life. He joined a cardio dance class at his local senior center. It keeps me young, he said, and it did. Until one day, halfway through a routine of side lunges and quick pivots, Frank felt his legs give out. He didn't faint, but he landed hard, breath shallow, pulse racing. We later found his blood pressure had spiked and his heart had slipped into an irregular rhythm. And the worst part, he blamed himself. "I thought I was doing something good," he said quietly in my office. The truth is, he was. Frank was trying. Like so many seniors, he was motivated, committed, and following what fitness culture told him was heart healthy. But here's what nobody tells you. After 60, the way your body responds to speed, motion, and impact changes. Fast, unpredictable movements like jumping jacks, burpees, stair sprints, or rapid step classes aren't just challenging. They can be dangerous. Why? Because aging affects more than your muscles. It touches your nervous system, slowing your reflexes. It touches your balance, making it easier to stumble. And it stiffens your arteries, meaning sudden shifts in motion can cause sudden shifts in blood pressure. I've seen patients experience dizziness from a quick twist or palpitations just from bouncing a little too fast. There's a hidden storm inside moves that once felt easy. You jump, your blood pressure jumps. You twist, your inner ear struggles to recalibrate. You shift direction quickly and your brain, just a beat slower now, can't keep up. And that half-second delay, that's all it takes to fall. It's not about fragility, it's about biology. But here's the good news. Balance, strength, and coordination are all things you can still build. You just need a different path. So instead of fast jabs or hard hops, go for fluid movement. Think Tai Chi, where the focus is on slow, intentional flow. It's gentle on the joints, nourishing for the heart, and powerful in how it reconnects your mind and body. Or try chair yoga, where you stay grounded while improving flexibility and core control, without the fear of falling. Even slow dancing, yes, in your living room with a little Nat King Cole in the background, offers rhythm, joy, and cardiovascular benefit, all without the chaos of high-impact motion. What matters isn't how fast you move, it's how well you move. I tell my patients, strength at this age doesn't come from force, it comes from control. Grace isn't about elegance, it's about alignment. When your breath, your steps, and your heart work together, that's when healing happens. So if you've been joining that high-tempo class and feel a little off afterward, tired in a way that doesn't feel right, or a little dizzy or unsteady, it's not weakness, it's a signal. Your body is whispering, please slow down, I'm still here for you, but I need a gentler rhythm now. And Frank? He didn't stop moving. He just changed the soundtrack. Now he does slow ballroom routines with his wife 3 times a week. It's not as flashy, he told me later, smiling, but I haven't missed a step since. That's the kind of story I love to hear, because in the end, aging well isn't about keeping up with the beat. It's about finding the beat that fits you now. And next, we're going to look at one last habit. Innocent, even convenient. A small decision most seniors make to fit movement into a busy day. but it might be robbing your heart of the deep, restorative rest it needs most. Let's take a look. Part 5, exercising too late at night, the rest interrupter. Hello again. Let me ask you something simple but important. Have you ever finished a nice walk after dinner, just a slow one around the block, and then found yourself lying in bed staring at the ceiling? Not worried, not anxious, just restless. You're not alone. I've spoken to many older adults, kind, health-conscious people, who've added evening movement into their routine thinking, this is good for me, right? And yes, in theory, movement is good for you. But when you move, that matters more than you think, especially after 60. I had a patient once named Marla. She was 68, recently retired, and trying to manage her blood pressure without more medications. Every night after her favorite show ended, she'd put on her sneakers and take a brisk walk around the neighborhood. She thought it would help her sleep better. She even said it helped her clear her head. But weeks later, Marla started noticing something. She was sleeping worse, waking up groggy, tossing and turning at night. She came in frustrated. We talked, reviewed her routine, and then we found it. Her late-night workouts were keeping her heart awake, even as her mind begged for rest. You see, any form of exercise, yes, even gentle walking, triggers a mild stress response in the body. Your heart rate rises, your body temperature goes up, your nervous system releases a little adrenaline to help you move, breathe, and stay alert. That's normal. That's healthy in the daytime. But at night, it's a different story. As we age, our sleep becomes more delicate. Circadian rhythms, those natural sleep-wake cycles, aren't as sharp. Melatonin, the hormone that tells us it's time to rest, doesn't flow as freely. So if we spike adrenaline at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., or later, the body gets confused. Instead of winding down, it stays alert. Instead of recovery, we enter a state of subtle tension, even if we feel relaxed. And what does that do to your heart? It keeps it working. Your heart, especially after 60, needs those nighttime hours to slow down, to reset, to repair tiny tears, lower blood pressure, and calm electrical signals. That healing only happens during deep, uninterrupted sleep. If exercise delays or shortens that window, even just by an hour, you may wake up with higher morning pressure, less energy, and a rhythm that's just slightly off. I've even seen cases where patients had no heart complaints during the day, but developed palpitations overnight. And the cause? Evening activity. So what's the solution? Simple. Shift your movement earlier. Late morning or early afternoon is ideal. That's when your blood flow is naturally stronger, your temperature is already up, and the energy you create from movement actually helps you sleep deeper that night. And in the evening, let that be your sacred time. Stretch slowly, reflect, dim the lights, read. Allow your heart to move from doing to healing, because your heart doesn't just need to beat, it needs to recover. When I tell my patients this, some are surprised. They say, "But I thought a walk was always good." And I tell them, it is. But timing matters more than intensity at our age, because after 60, your body isn't asking for more. It's asking for better, smarter, gentler. And in that stillness right before sleep, that's where true healing takes root. So if you've been feeling off, even though you've been doing all the right things, consider the clock. Your heart might be telling you that now is the time to rest, not rev up. And as we've now looked at what to avoid, what to slow down, and what to rethink, it's time to ask something deeper. What does movement after 60 really look like when it's done right? How do we honor this stage of life with strength, intention, and joy? Let's bring it all together in one final message from my heart to yours. Move kindly, live fully. You don't need to move fast, you just need to move smart. That's the truth. I've come to, after more than 40 years of walking beside patients in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, I've seen it all. People who ran marathons at 30 but struggled to sleep at 70. and others who barely exercised when they were young, yet found renewed strength in their golden years simply by moving with purpose and care. Because at this stage of life, movement isn't about beating the clock. It's about listening to it. You see, your heart has already done so much for you. It's worked tirelessly through every joy, every stress, every moment of uncertainty. It's been there, quietly, faithfully, pumping life into you over 2.5 billion times if you've made it to 75. That kind of loyalty deserves something in return. It deserves kindness, not punishment, not pressure, just kindness. And kindness in this season of life looks like choosing the walk over the sprint, choosing the gentle stretch instead of the high-impact leap, choosing the movement that makes you feel good, not just sweaty or tired, but truly well. The kind of movement that lets you breathe fully, sleep more deeply, and wake up with calm strength in your chest instead of tension. So here's what I tell my patients now, more than ever. Match your exercise to the season you're in. That might mean a morning walk with the dog instead of a treadmill run, light resistance bands in the living room instead of heavy weights at the gym, chair yoga or Tai Chi in the park, gardening, dancing slowly, or even just stretching with a grandchild by your side. It all counts, more than you think. What doesn't count anymore is guilt or shame or the pressure to keep up, because aging gracefully doesn't mean doing less. It means doing what matters, with intention and with love for the body that's still carrying you forward. And don't worry, strength doesn't disappear because you stop jumping. In fact, I've seen some of the strongest hearts in the gentlest movers. Steady, calm, balanced. Because real strength at this age isn't loud. It's quiet, it's patient, it's wise. If today's video helped you rethink your routine or gave you a moment of clarity, I'd love to hear from you. Just type 1 in the comments. Or if you're feeling brave, share one change you're going to try this week. A different time of day to move, a different pace, a kinder goal. Your story might be the one that encourages someone else to move safely too. Let's be a community that doesn't just talk about heart health. We live it with gentleness, wisdom, and joy. Because the goal isn't just to move. The goal is to live fully with a steady heart and a spirit at peace.